In an ongoing conflict where people are being murdered and lives are at stake, misinformation is extremely dangerous. Comedian and host of The Daily Show, Trevor Noah, tried to take a look at the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Let's see what he had to say.
I don't think that any TV show in 10 minutes is going to come close to solving Israel-Palestine. The part where we say who's good and who's bad and who started, let's step away from that and instead ask a different question.
Well then, why are you doing exactly that? The rest of your video is telling us how millions of people should basically respond.
Instead, let's look at who's dead and who's alive this week. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes have reportedly killed 28 people, including 10 children. Over 150 people have been wounded. In Israel, Hamas rockets have killed 2 people.
Why are you looking at that? Since when is who is dead a good litmus test for how to respond in war? The Israelis are responsible for the targeting of terrorists with incredible precision. Any children, any innocent people that are dead is because Hamas and Islamic Jihad are shooting from among children, from hospitals and from schools, and they want carnage. They want, when Israel retaliates, to hit these people. Even though Israel sends leaflets, makes phone calls and says exactly where they're going to be striking the terrorists, still they force innocent people in this place. And Hamas, Islamic Jihad and these terrorist groups want these innocent people to be killed. So it's their responsibility.
And this exchange of fire...
What do you mean exchanging fire? That's so deceptive. At the end of the day, Hamas, Islamic Jihad and these terrorist groups have sent over 1,600 rockets in less than 3 days. They picked on and found innocent civilians. Some of the first people that were killed were an Arab father and daughter. Was a Holocaust survivor, 85 years old, sitting in her wheelchair. There is no exchange going on. If Israel stops defending herself, millions will die. If the terrorists stop, then we'll see peace. It's actually that simple.
And this exchange of fire comes after the Israeli assault in and around the Al-Aqsa Mosque that left more than 600 Palestinian protesters, worshippers, and civilians wounded, and a few dozen Israeli police.
I think it's incredible that none of these rioters died with everything that was going on. They hijacked Al-Aqsa Mosque. They went on Temple Mount, hoarded weapons, put down tons and tons of rocks and started rioting like crazy and creating all this mayhem. They went out afterwards and lynched people from cars. This is not worshipping life. This was worshipping death. This was intentionally done during Ramadan and on Jerusalem Day. Do you expect the police to just let this happen? The purpose of police is not just to let this happen and get worse and people to die, it's to disperse the crowds and to end the riots. And that's what they did.
Now, personally, I'm not saying for you, just personally, I cannot watch that footage and hear those numbers and see a fair fight.
That is such a ludicrous statement. What is this, like a boxing match where there's a specific weight class for a fair fight? This isn't a fair fight. This is terrorists trying to murder people with the stated aim of trying to kill as many people as they possibly can. If there was a hostage situation in New York in a bank, you'd tell the SWAT team to leave a certain amount of weapons behind to have an exactly fair situation so that they're proportionate to one another. No, you want to protect innocent life and you want to do it in the best way possible.
Like, set aside motives and intentions and just look at technology alone.
Technology alone? Set aside motives and intentions? Words matter. Incitement leads to violence. These people's entire intention and motive is to murder. That is important. In a court of law where you live, we decide that intention and motive has value, and we have to look at it.
They can crush Gaza like that.
And yet they don't. This proves how targeted and specific they are to save and protect innocent lives. If Hamas had this potential, they would destroy so many more people. But Israel tries to save lives as much as possible.
If you are in a fight where the other person cannot beat you, how hard should you retaliate when they try to hurt you?
Did you really just say that? You're comparing two people fighting to lots of different terrorist groups and cells hiding behind human shields to try and murder other people? This is not a secret. Don't take my word for it. Go online and look at the Gazans themselves, how difficult it is for them as Hamas and Islamic Jihad and these terrorists are putting them in harm's way. This double human rights violation is egregious. And imagine what we'd do if we just sat back and we just let them keep trying to kill people and keep risking their own people and keep trying to murder and maim. What message does that send to terrorists? And what is that going to achieve?
When I was a teenager, I would always get into fights with my little brothers. And little kids can be vicious, right? They're trying to punch you in the leg, they're trying to punch you in the nuts. They're kids, they do that. But my mom would say to me, whenever I get angry, she'd go, Trevor, don't hit the kid back because they can't hurt you. You're a teenager and the kid is 4. And I was like, yeah, but the kid is hitting me. He could hurt me. But my mom was like, yeah, but you're also so much bigger than the kid. You can crush him in an instant.
That example is just so ridiculous, so simplistic, and so inapplicable. But let's go with it for a moment, because you brought it up. Imagine the 4-year-old had a machine gun pointed at you, didn't see you as a brother, and wanted to murder you. And on top of that, their sponsor, let's call them Iran for a moment, had atomic weapons, had nuclear weapons, and wanted to wipe out your entire people and so many others in the area. What are you going to do then? Come on, Trevor. You're better than that.
I had to ask myself whether my response to this child was just or necessary. Could I find different ways to deal with this? Whether I felt aggrieved or not, or whether they were fighting fair was almost irrelevant.
Do you even know what Israel has tried to do? The land where the rockets are coming from in 2005 was known as Gush Katif, and Israel unilaterally gave it away in order to try create peace. The result? More and more rockets from the land connected to this. The rockets we're seeing that are flying right now. More and more terror cells building tunnels to try infiltrate Israel and to try kill more innocent civilians. And what else did Israel do? Invest billions and billions of dollars and hours and time and effort into creating diplomatic relations, into investing in infrastructure, in education to help the Palestinian people. And this is what they get back. They get back terror from these crazy leaders.
When you have this much power, what is your responsibility?
You know what, Trevor? I don't even think I can carry on anymore because this video is contradicting your message. You are misusing and abusing your power and your influence. You have so many people listening to you and you haven't even read up on the basic facts. And because of that, so many people are misinformed and there is hatred being spewed.
And look, man, what makes Israel-Palestine such a difficult topic to even broach is all the layers that are packed into it. No matter how much you try and break it down, people are always going to say that you're leaving out some crucial piece of context. And you know what the truth is? They're probably right.
That part, Trevor, I really agree with. Well said. But why did you even get into this then, if you understand how complex it is? I really encourage anyone else that's listening or that's watched to go into depth, to understand the history, to understand the layers, because people's lives are at stake. This is important, this is crucial, and we want to really make a difference. Understanding the problems, empathizing with the people, and seeing the potential for solutions is the only way we can truly build a brighter future.